Heaven, the hereafter, spirit world, judgment day, your reckoning, the pearly gates, kingdom come, the tunnel of light, eternity, the afterlife, the world to come. When we think about life after death, or the world to come, we usually think of some kind of really great place where everything is in slow motion. This world, on the other hand, is sort of a depressing place. But if we do good deeds here, then when we die and go to the next world, we receive a fitting reward. Our actions here create a reward over there in that really great, cool, awesome, slow-motion world where they give you ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I just have two questions. Number one, where is this place? And number two, what's this reward we're all so excited about? What if I were to tell you that the world to come is actually here, and that the reward you receive is your life? Well, I wouldn't be the first. About 1800 years ago in Israel, 2,000 years of oral tradition were compiled into the Mishnah, where it says, all of Israel have a share for the world to come. In the late 18th century, Rabbi Chaim of Volozhin, the spiritual leader of Russian Jewry, pointed out that the teaching doesn't say in the world to come, as if the world to come is some other place, and if a person is good, he will receive as his reward a share in it. Rather, the world to come is a product of the hands of man himself. That's why it says all of Israel have a share for the world to come. To understand what that means, we first need to understand what the word world means.
Sure.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot. My pleasure.
We perceive the physical world around us with 5 senses. While these senses give us the ability to perceive, they also limit our ability to perceive. There are many types of light waves, but the human eye can only see a very narrow band of wavelengths between infrared and ultraviolet. That's only a tiny fraction of the light that reaches our eyes.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Empty it.
In other words, we can only see this convenience store heist because it is being lit up with the kind of light our eyes know how to see. But if someone were to turn off that light, then we can no longer see the robbery. Until we put on our handy-dandy infrared goggles.
Turn on the lights.
Then I can see the usually invisible infrared light that is being cast on the crime.
Said turn on the lights.
The infrared was always there, we just couldn't see it until now.
Turn on those lights right now, man.
My eyes were limiting my perception. They were limiting my world.
Just turn on the lights!
And while this chip's display is currently in our world, it is not part of Bob's world.
When I find that light switch, man!
That is, until he perceives it through one of his other senses, like those on his face. But that's not the whole picture. Our physical senses make up only part of our world. What we perceive is also a function of what we pay attention to. Everyone has their own way that they perceive what's going on around them, and that perception makes up their world. That means something that may not currently be part of our world may suddenly come into existence when we start paying attention to it. It also means that we don't always see,
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
the bigger picture.
Empty it.
That's our world, what we perceive with our senses and how we relate to that information. So what happens when we lose our physical senses? What happens when we die? Do we lose our perception and our understanding? Is our world gone? Forever? In the Hebrew language, when someone dies, he is described as niftar. Niftar means freed. When someone dies, they are freed from the limitations on their perception, and they begin to understand the world in its much wider, deeper expanse. They begin to experience a much greater reality, where they perceive the true value, meaning, and impact of what is happening here. What we perceive in this world is just a piece of a much wider, greater world, where we experience life from the vantage point of eternity. Like Rabbi Chaim of Volozhin explained, all of Israel have a share for the world to come. For the world to come, and not in the world to come. Because if it said in, it would mean it's some other place. I have an apartment in the city. I set up a nuclear power plant in the basement. It would mean that after we die, we acquire world to come real estate, where we can eternally improve our golf game.
4,
But, as Rabbi Chaim of Volozhin explains, we create the world to come. That's why it says that you provide something for the world to come. I am getting snacks for tonight's game. I'm buying complimentary party helmets for everyone involved. You contribute something for the greater good. All of Israel have a share for the world to come, each adding their individual piece to the world of truth. If someone lives a selfish life, hurting others and causing pain, then when he dies, when he is Niftar, when he is freed from the limitations of this world, and he sees what was really going on here, he will look in horror at the part he played. And that itself is his punishment. And when someone helps someone, does something good, loves someone, they add their dimension to the world to come. It's having a portion in the good that exists in the world. And that in itself is the reward. While we have no idea what eternal life is like, what we do know is that the world to come is not some other place. It is experiencing a new dimension of this place. It is not some disconnected life. It is built on the true value of what is happening in this life. Same place, same life, but it's eternal reality. This world and the world to come are really the same world, just experienced from different vantage points.
Hold on, stop. Hold on. Now, if it's the same world, then why's it got two names?
Well, Bob, the truth is it didn't used to be like this. In ancient times, the Jews knew that there weren't two separate worlds, but that there was one world that included both this world and the world to come. What happened was, in ancient Greece, the philosophers started saying that there is one world. But they meant that all that exists is just this material world. No souls, no spirituality, no eternity, and when you died, that was it. Poof! This philosophy began to spread throughout the ancient world, eventually making its way to Israel. And while the one-world Greek philosophy sounded similar to the Jewish view, it was nothing like it. It was at that time that Ezra, one of the last prophets, saw the danger of this spreading worldview. The famous Mishnaic commentator, the Barton Nura, explains that as a defense mechanism, Ezra emphasized the teaching of two worlds, distinguishing between the Jewish belief in life after death and the materialistic philosophy of the Greeks. The problem was that as time went on, a new misunderstanding developed. Jews began to view the world to come as some other place, disconnected from this world, where a giant scoreboard judges your life. Okay, from the beginning. Using our five senses, we receive information about what's going on around us, and we in turn process and interpret that information. The deeper our perception, the more we understand what is really going on, the greater and truer our world. When we die, we are freed from the limitations of our senses and begin to experience the deeper truth of what is going on here. And while there's more to learn, one thing is clear. We don't go to some place disconnected from this world where we receive a reward for a life well lived. The world to come is the greater reality of this world. And our contribution to the good of the world, the part we play in the orchestra of existence, that in itself is our reward.
יש להם חלק לעולם הבא. כל ישראל יש להם חלק לעולם הבא. כל ישראל יש להם חלק לעולם הבא. כל ישראל יש להם חלק לעולם הבא.